Copytraders Club, where you can learn how to make better decisions and more money copy trading. I'm Gavin McCauley, my name and username on eToro. Links to everything, including Discord and Facebook groups, are in the link tree in the show notes. On today's episode, we welcome the first copy trader of Season 2. Here we go. Season 2, Episode 5 of Copytraders Club, and the limousine has been dispatched to pick up a chap called Alex. On this podcast, we seek to demystify copy trading and work out what the best possible strategies are for success. But such guidance is thin on the ground elsewhere. Many of us are new and fumbling around for some wisdom. Alex has been copying on eToro since 2014 and has come to share with us the ups and downs of his evolving journey on the platform. Speaking of the ups, he is up the grand stone staircase of the clubhouse. And here he comes. Alex, hello. Welcome to Copytraders Club.
Thank you, Gavin. How are you?
I'm very well. All the better for seeing you.
Nice to hear.
As you know, in order to get access to the inner sanctum, the VIP lounge, you've got to answer a series of quickfire questions. You up for those?
Indeed.
Username on eToro.
Tything2.
Date you joined eToro.
September 2014.
Year of birth.
1977.
Place of residence.
Plymouth, Devon.
Profession.
Self-employed director of a medical supplies company.
Briefly state what you aim to achieve on eToro.
Early retirement. We'll get into that more later, but basically early retirement.
Name one of your investing heroes.
A lesser-known cycles analyst called Gary Savage.
Name one of your favourite investing books.
Most of my information is from sort of audio, but Market Wizards, Jack Schroeder was a good book.
That completes the formalities. Let's proceed into the VIP section here at the clubhouse, the splendid Copytraders Lounge. Alex, aka Tything2, are you ready for this magical transition?
I am indeed.
Okay, Alex, here we are now in the Copytraders Lounge. Exciting moment for you, no doubt.
Indeed.
Indeed, even though you don't sound very excited, I can tell by the look on your face, you're absolutely thrilled.
Inside, I'm buzzing.
All right, so Alex, just to clarify for the listener, you're not a popular investor. You're a long-term user of eToro. You copy people and you own a variety of other assets in your own right, but you're here really to talk about copy trading, right?
I do both. I trade, invest, and copy, but I guess in the realm of this podcast, I'm better suited to talk about copying PIs, yes.
Okay, so you're an English chap of Greek heritage?
Half Greek, yeah. My dad's Cypriot, more brought up by my mum's side, but I don't speak Greek or anything. But yeah, so half Greek, half Cypriot.
And you heard that episode recently with Nikos Katsakanas talking about how most of Scottish culture comes from Greece?
I did, yeah. News to me, but yeah, I did hear that.
It's probably not all true, of course, but you know, my very deep research on Google for half an hour threw up all those little gems. So how come you are at Copytraders Club?
I approached you, I think sometime last year, mid-last year maybe. I don't think you'd done that many at that point, maybe 5 or 6, and they'd all been PIs. So I thought it'd be interesting to see the other side of that, someone who's actually copying these PIs, to give their input. Also, I've made a lot of mistakes over the years. And maybe there's some new person listening and they can avoid those mistakes, man. Maybe that's my job done.
Can I read your introductory email?
Yeah, of course you can.
Afternoon, Captain. Doing a fantastic job. Just putting it out there. Obsessive eTorian since 2014, both copying and trading. Have seen all the highs and lows and may be able to add some veggie nuggets. Keep up the good work, comrade. So we look forward to those veggie nuggets.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I meant by veggie nuggets, but we'll try and add those.
All right, so let me paint a picture for the listener about who you are. You're 44 years old, self-employed, director of a medical supplies company alongside your wife, and you've been doing that for about 10 years.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I did a little bit of research and came across your business, and I see that it's listing the following items for sale. Condoms, lubricants, gloves, syringes, needles, and aprons. Sounds like an average weekend for me, right, kids?
Yeah, if you've dug a little bit further, I've actually got a sort of a more naughty website as well, but we don't need to get into that one on a family share.
Okay, maybe we'll do that once the microphones are off.
Indeed.
So you work alongside your wife, changing tack slightly, who I assume is the second face in your eToro profile picture.
Yep.
And a lovely face it is too.
Indeed.
You seem to be having fun together, in that profile pic at least.
Yeah, we're a good team.
Okay, you go on to say you've been on eToro a fairly long time and have ridden all the highs and lows. You mentioned that you're somebody who perhaps needs to make mistakes first before learning how to do things.
Yeah, definitely. I sort of read all the books in the early days, completely ignored the advice, and I need to put my hand on the stove, I guess, is the way to put it, before obviously still learning, still making mistakes, but less and less as time goes on. And I don't know. I guess if you're more of a sort of safer investor, it takes less to learn. If you're more sort of going for a sort of trading tactics, then you're using leverage, etc., it takes you sort of longer to learn. Too greedy, chasing too much reward, and sort of learning the hard way.
Well, we look forward to hearing about those mistakes and learning from them. Let me see, what else did you say? You told me that eToro is quite a large percentage of your investments. It was more 6 months ago, but you've taken a fair amount out for crypto farming on DeFi platforms and to buy your dream house in the country. So already eToro has sort of provided for you and allowed you to make money and achieve things in your life.
Yeah, it took time. Luckily, those initial couple of years where lots of mistakes were made, I wasn't foolish enough to put proper money in, so I was sort of playing with small money. As we call it, tuition fee, I guess. And 2017, 18, started putting a lot heavier, especially 19, and that's where I made the money. Yeah, pulled a lot out. It's obviously the dream move I've been after a lot of while, and without sort of saying anything negative about eToro, sort of spreads and the non-yield, etc., on cryptos is maybe, in my opinion, not the best place to keep it all. So I've via the eToro wallet sort of transferred it to other platform.
Okay, and your country retreat is in what part of the world?
Trying to get the best of both worlds, because my daughter still goes to school, so I have to stay sort of fairly close to school, but it's country-ish, not much in terms of neighbours, lots of space, etc., but still best of both, close to the school amenities and stuff. Just that sort of big house, bit of land we've been after for a while, I guess.
Somewhere in the outskirts of Plymouth?
Yeah, it's a little sort of village between sort of suburbia and country land, I guess.
Looking through your stats, it seems like it's been a pretty wild ride. 2017, 257%, followed by 2018 with a 91% loss, for example. So that's pretty crazy.
Ouch.
So it certainly hasn't been boring.
No, it's been an interesting ride. A learning curve, yeah.
Well, the last couple of years has shown a fair bit of stability. 2020, 58%, 2021, 62%. So does that suggest that you've settled into your approach?
Yes, in terms of lowering risk, but I mean, to be truthful, a lot of that was sort of crypto profits, which I guess in another world could have gone the other way, and that run of negativity could have continued some. But I've certainly reduced risk and errors and taken it more seriously. I think the early years, there wasn't as much money on the table and time sort of put into it, and was, I guess, experimenting, should we call it.
Well, I don't think we can go any further without painting a picture for the listener of what your portfolio looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 121 positions. So pay attention, listener. 52 PIs. That's right, 52 PIs. 38 stocks, 17 cryptos, 13 ETFs, 1 index, and 1 copy portfolio. So as you sort of mentioned at the start, maybe we should focus on the 52 PIs for the purposes of this chat. Otherwise, we'll be here for several days.
Yeah, indeed. I will sort of give some explanation to the number. It is too high, but I will briefly sort of touched on it, sort of taking some money off the table, house move coming up. I don't know exactly how much I need, so I've reduced sort of risk. I can keep that in cash, or I've got almost short-term sort of subs list, or I've got sort of 20, 15 traders. They're all got tight stop losses that I don't expect to make or lose that much, but I still see probability of making more than sat in cash. Is the number 51 or 52, whatever, is too high? Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay, well, let's take it back to the start. Who was the first PI you copied? Can you remember?
Bancino, I think he was called, and Noas. I'm not even sure they're still there now. I looked the other day, I couldn't find them.
Noas is a female. Yeah, she's around.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I think she is still there, but traded her star. They were both, weirdly enough, Forex traders, short on a euro against the US dollar, seemed to be the trade of choice back then, before sort of cryptos or before. eToro certainly had cryptos.
Yeah, eToro used to be Forex only, didn't it? Back at the start.
Yeah, predominantly. I forget when cryptos came. I think it was 2016 cryptos came. Sort of changed it up a bit.
Okay, I'm just going to have a look at your PI list just to run down a few names. Although with 52, we can't get too far, I suppose. In descending order of importance, I suppose you could say. J Nemesis at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Mariano Pardo, Fund Manager Zek, Bellkeeper, Paternicus, Prototype VR, David Giles, CPH Equities, Lizzie Apukaya, Mr. G, etc.
Yeah, usual suspects there, but...
Well, I mean, there's 52, so you've got more than just the usual suspects. You've got quite a few I don't know, I've never heard of. In fact, a couple of people you copy aren't even PIs. Right?
Yeah, I give people a chance quite early. There's one I can talk about in a minute. He's only sort of had 16, 17 months experience, but I've seen enough potential to welcome him on board.
Yeah, like there's one guy who's got 2 copiers, and one of them is you.
Who's that?
Is that right? Maybe Melback 993.
Yeah, he's one I class as a subs list, tight stop.
He's got 1 copier in the whole world.
Yeah, he should be privileged, isn't he?
He lost his other copier within the last 7 days. That's who we're talking about here. We're talking about some of them are better known than others. So we need to get into your whole sort of choice procedure.
Also, briefly, I'll sort of explain that instead of sort of sat in cash, I might be waiting for, say the Nasdaq's gone down a fair bit. Let's say it goes down 50% more, crypto drops to 28. Instead of sat in cash waiting for that, if that was to happen, I can release money from 5, 10 PIs and sort of pilot, and that may never happen. So I don't see the point in sat in cash when I've got safe investors on type stop losses who can be earning in the meantime until the opportunity. I don't keep 50. An average probably over the last few years is I keep maybe 15, 20.
Okay, so for a bunch of these, you're considering them cash or cash equivalents with potential upside. What sort of stop loss have you set?
Depends on the type of trader and their risk. I mean, if you take Olivia Daniel, I haven't got at the moment, but he only makes 5% a year, then you want a tight stop loss. No one who makes 5% a year should have drawdown of more than 2-3%. If someone's a bit more, the more risk averse, the more you need to let them do their thing, I guess. But on someone I've put in a subs list who's making 10% a year, I may put a stop loss about the same. Depends if they're an investor or a trader. If they're an investor, a stop loss doesn't work, in my opinion, because you're stopping at the very time you sort of almost should be doing the opposite and doubling down. Take Mario Pardo, for instance. If you'd had a stop loss of 25% or something, it would have hit. He's a good investor. He's done nothing wrong. It's just the market's turned and you've got to sort of let him do his thing, I guess. But again, if you're Olivia Daniel as the example again, then you want a tight stop loss, because someone who trades like that should certainly not have high drawdown. The answer to that, totally a range of stop losses. Depends. A trader needs a tighter stop loss than an investor. You got to look at them differently, I guess.
Okay. So for some of these guys, you've got a 5 or 10% leeway or less. And for others, it's wide.
I guess I manage risk by the small amount I invest in them. But yeah, anyone I would class as an investor, I don't have a stop loss, basically.
And how many of the 52 would you class as investors?
Total investors who never short, who never hedge, probably as little as 6. There's another maybe 10 who sort of 90% sort of long, but occasionally hedge or short or diversify.
And some of these, I assume you've been copying for years. Is that correct?
Yeah, let's take J Nemesis, for instance. I think in 2016, I think the first started copying him. I've been in and out quite a few times for various reasons. My portfolio has taken a big change recently again, because pulling money out, I sort of stopped copying most people incrementally and sort of restarted them again at smaller amounts, if that makes sense. If you look at my portfolio now, it doesn't actually look like I've made much copying, but that wouldn't be fair on some of the guys I've copied, in fairness.
Okay, so out of the 52, you've got guys you consider proper investors, many of whom you've been copying for a long time. You've given them the leeway of a decent size copy stop loss.
Yeah.
Then you have a bunch that you consider to be a place to park cash and give it a chance to earn a bit, and they're on tighter stop losses. Correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I guess it's free tier. It's what classes investors, traders. I don't intend to leave. Fund managers, ZEC, etc., sort of predominantly long, but also into different things. Slightly tighter sort of stop losses. Let them do their thing. And then, as I say, 10, 15 people on a subs list, because they're basically my cash equivalent, but probability says they're going to earn more while waiting for that opportunity. As I say, Nasdaq dropped 15% from here. Lose some of those subs and double up on the Mario Pardos or enter positions myself.
So in terms of allocation of cash, you'd say the higher allocation bunch are investors, the middle guys are traders, and then the smaller sums are attributed to the subs list, as you call it.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Okay.
There's some method in the madness. It's just the worst time as well, almost, to be doing this when I'm having to release cash and not know exactly how much I need to release. Maybe changes how I do things slightly. And also, it caught me a bit of a weird time. It's sort of trying to work out what eToro is to me, because it's been sort of a growth fund in terms of getting some money together, crypto investing, etc. I pulled away from that a bit more and pulled that on a different channel. And I've got my sort of safer pension fund, ISAs, etc. So then the question is, what is eToro to me, I guess? I'm wary of having too many sort of what are classed as investors. Markets obviously run pretty high over the last 10 years. Could easily sort of be stagnant for quite a few years. I don't really want to be in that position. So I like to have people who can move with the market, should we say.
Okay, so some of these questions that I would normally ask, I think they're going to be quite difficult because of the volume of PIs we're talking about, and also because you have PIs that do very different things for you, as you've explained, those three tiers. For example, if I was to say, before deciding to copy someone, what do you look at? What are the most important metrics? I guess the answer is dependent on what job they're going to do for you.
Yeah, it's still all, I guess, boils down to risk versus reward. Question of not how much do they earn, is how much risk have they had to go through, I guess, and what have they done to earn that. I mean, I can talk you through sort of the last person I copied, if I can find him, if that sort of, and try to explain my logic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, talk us through the most recent additions to your portfolio.
All right, so the last one I copied was Ingruc, Ingruc. Ingvar Rukman. Oh, he's got a fair few copies. He's got 1,435 copies.
Yeah, he's one of these guys who's been doing quite well recently. And I see quite a few of those in your portfolio, so...
Yeah, as I say, the main reason for that is to sort of stabilise things a bit while I'm, where I am in terms of how much I can leave on the table, how much I need to pull out, etc. But yeah, the logic of someone like him, it's a great time to do it. I guess the last 3 months has been very volatile or on a downtrend, so anyone can sort of steer well in that period. Obviously, it shows sort of good potential. I like stats. So yearly drawdown, only 4.43%, and to reach whatever he's got, 22% profit and only ever be 4.43% down is a very good stat, obviously. You always want to see that high. You want to see how much they're earning higher than how much they're risking to earn that, if that makes sense. 18 months there, 2 red months, 0.75, 0.40. Not only more chance of being in green, the greens are higher than the reds. Steady risk score. How's he done that? He hasn't got lucky in 6 trades. He's in, he's out. Says in his bio, professional trader, full-time. Every metric there, apart from length of time, screams somebody who knows what he's doing and someone I wouldn't want to miss out on.
And there's quite a few like that you've added recently. Names that I've only really become aware of in the past few months. When I look at your list here, I see names like Thomas PJ, Analysis Cyclico, Alexandre Pont.
They're 2 new guys, not copied with full amounts yet, but they're world class as traders and would like to see a bit more history before I start putting a bit more in them. But as I say, I want eToro to turn it from sort of a growth fund to sort of a payday release money when I sort of need to. So with that, I want to be making green years at least, if not sort of green quarters. To do that, I need people who can do that, not just too many investors who will win in the long term, but short term, maybe not.
So you're sort of in a transitional period. When the transition is done, what's the sort of number of PIs you'd be hoping to have?
And I was just purely copying and not trading myself, and not using subs lists to then look for other opportunities to trade myself, then I'll probably have somewhere in the region of 10 to 15.
Well, you're a long way off 10. Let's be fair.
I am a long way off 10.
I'm not sure you'd find it easy to whittle them down.
No, I wouldn't. Even 15, 16. So I'd class myself always heading down the trader route, and then in the meantime, that cash should be earning while you're awaiting your opportunities.
It's funny because I sort of assume that the decision to copy someone is like, quite a big deal, and research goes into it and lots of chin rubbing, and you're like quick fire, like trigger finger, copy this guy, copy that guy, stop this guy, stop that guy, start a new guy, find someone else.
Yeah, and as I say, I do see myself as more of a sort of a trader than an investor on the eToro platform anyway, and I won't cut them if they had a bad month. I'll cut them if they're not doing as they say they should do, or they've changed their tactics, or they're too aggressive, or something like that. But to me, as my eToro is a trading platform, and one, I'm waiting for opportunity. as I say, crypto, Bitcoin goes to 28,000. I want to be all in. I want to or heavily invest, and I'll immediately cut 15 people. But those 15 people, if I've had for 3 months, had probably earned me money. So why would I just leave that in cash?
Well,
if you're looking at like I see you got 4 sort of PIs, I believe. With such a small number, you definitely want to get it right, don't you? You definitely want to long term. You want to know. It's difficult. Each one, you've only got 3-4 years of history. You're not invested in Ray Dalio or Warren Buffett. You've got what they say they're doing, what they've looked like over the last 2 years. I've seen people who look quite good blow up or stop performing, should we say?
For my money, it's easier to stay on top of a small number. Like you say, like if one of your guys starts acting up and changes his risk profile or something, how are you going to know about that if PI number 47 goes rogue?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Definitely, there is too many, and it's a happy medium somewhere. And worst case, one of them blows out, hits a stop loss, it's 0.01% or something. It's equivalent of having like 5 stocks in the Nasdaq or holding the QQQ 102 stocks in the whole ETF. The whole ETF performed pretty well. Some of which over the last 20 years would have blown up, and I see a bit like that. I guess you're going to have losers.
It's a very different approach. And listen, I'm not pushing any sort of agenda as to this is the best way to do it. I just want to understand what the various options are and how different methods work for different people. So it's very interesting to come across someone like you who's got such a huge list and to hear your approach to it. It's kind of refreshing because I hadn't really exposed myself to this way of thinking about copying people. So that's quite new to hear.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd had 4 other people, as listed as 4 other people who weren't, should we call them investors, and the market's now down 20%, you could have stopped copying one of those and done something different. I'm just saying it gives you more options, personally. But if eToro, it's such a wide, what is it to you? If you're averaging in every month, and drawdowns are sort of irrelevant, aren't they? As long as they're not losses and they're drawdowns of investing. But me, I've put a lot in a different place than I was a few years ago. There is no right or wrong way of doing it as such. I've got my tactics. I'm stumbling through now. Too many, yes, but too many now because of where I am and move, etc. But if I were to advise somebody who knew nothing about eToro, how many would I copy and wasn't going to do any trades themselves? Yeah, I'd go down to sort of 10, have that 10 looking pretty balanced, maybe as high as 15. But my tactics are different, as I say. I can suddenly pull 20 PIs and suddenly free up some cash if there's an opportunity. Right or wrong, I don't know, but that's how I do that.
Okay, so that kind of sets the scene for what we're talking about here. The listener now has an idea of your portfolio and your approach and what eToro represents to you. Have you ever written out your copy trading manifesto?
No, short answer.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I know what my goals are and what I want to sort of achieve, but no formal structure or formal written goals, no.
How would you describe your appetite for risk in your eToro copy trading?
Changing and lowering, maybe still too high.
Changing and lowering as time goes on, you get older, you've got more capital to protect.
Yeah, and learn the hard lessons, hand on stove too many times, ouch, not again.
Well, here's an interesting one considering the size of your portfolio. What's your understanding of the term diversification and how is that evidenced in your portfolio? I think you're possibly the most diversified eToro user I've ever seen and I'm likely to see.
Yeah, not sure how to tell you that, but that's fine.
Well, it's just a fact, isn't it? 52 PIs multiplied by 50 positions each, plus all the other positions you own directly. That's a lot of bits.
Yep.
Obviously not a concern, being over diversified.
Yeah, you certainly can be over diversified, but with my sort of strange tactics, I guess it's got to be like that. As I say, I've got my sort of safer long-term stocks elsewhere, crypto elsewhere. It's a strange period for me. It's a transitional period in eToro. I've lost, so as I say, like the crypto side, which before that probably wouldn't have had. I would have only had sort of 15, 20 PIs, but that money I've taken off and sold, I've put them into PIs and taken some off the table elsewhere. So it's not a snapshot of what I've been for the last sort of 5 years, whatever. It's where I am now in a strange period. Slightly unmanageable, overly diversified. Can you be overly diversified? Of course you can. Is that always a bad thing? Not necessarily. Definitely the drawdown it's slightly unmanageable. It's not what I'd advise, but it works for my tactics. But it's not certainly I'd advise for anyone else. No.
How do you find PIs? Do you look on Editor's Choice and through the Discover page and things like that?
Yeah, it could be Editor's Choice, trending, main page. Quite if I'm looking for something in particular, some lack of like forex traders, for instance, I'll use the filters, but normally sort of stumble across them.
How much research do you do on a PI?
Only what you can on eToro, I guess. It's more about stats and what they're telling you. Unfortunately, you can't drill down more than what eToro is sort of able to show you.
In order to copy someone, you don't need for them to have a YouTube channel and Twitch live streams and stuff like that. Even if they do you keep up with all that stuff?
No. I have seen some in the past, but yeah, if that proportion of my portfolio was to increase, really like the look of somebody and I was put sort of 15, 20% plus in them, then I want to really know what they're doing. I want to listen to everything. I want, it's very obviously very important, but all I've got is stats, and I go on the stats, and I feel normally start off on a real low level and watch them. Feel if I just add them to a watch list, I can get a feel for how they trade. So I normally bring them in small level. But in terms of is that enough? No, it's nice to have some more, but I haven't got time, obviously, with the sheer number to proper drill down outside of eToro on all these sort of PIs. But that's a drawback of the way I invest, I guess.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Do you copy?
Copytraders Club.
Copytraders Club.
Okay, tell me something about copy trading that you only learned embarrassingly recently.
I learned about 3 minutes ago I've got too many PIs.
Very good. Well, I'm not saying you've got too many PIs. I'm just...
No, it's as I say, it's a weird time. I'm in a sort of transitional, strange place, and it's my mind's elsewhere almost, and it's just sort of a holding period, not too much damage. The markets are crazy. I want to hold on to some people who have sort of not long the market, different trading styles, and then we see where we are when the dust settles.
I'll tell you something I earned embarrassingly recently, as in during the last week, and it's to do with the news feed. I just discovered that when you're on your homepage and you go down to the news feed, there's a little drop down and you can adjust what you see: public English news feed, saved post, or popular investors. Did you know that from day one? No,
I think it's changed the layout fairly recently. I must have been part of that sort of update. I didn't know that, in fairness.
Because I had PIs on previously who were complaining that the feed is a load of nonsense and they wished that it could be tailored to their interests. Now that is the case, right? Because I only see information from people I copy or follow, like I have them on a watch list or something.
Yeah, I don't look at the newsfeed. In fairness, I get updates and notifications from anyone I copy, which is what I want. Any other sort of news I wouldn't get from eToro or updates, I guess. If I want to hear from anything that one of the PIs puts out, I'd get that message from my notifications, I guess. So I don't really look at the newsfeed.
Well, you must get millions of notifications anyway, so you don't need more information coming in.
Yeah, it's depending on who it's from, how much I copy. I have a quick glance, updates, what they're doing, etc. I read that briefly, 4 a day or something like that, maybe more.
I've got a section here about settings. We've already mentioned your copy stop loss and how you adjust that depending on what the PI represents in your strategy.
Yeah.
Do you always copy open trades?
Yeah. Yeah, well, whether it's even a trader, investor, always copy open trades. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Because there's a lot of people jump up and down about how copy open trades is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't see the logic there, especially as an investor. You could be waiting months for them to even open a trade.
Yeah, simply because, if the PI's already had a position that's run up, then you're buying it in the proportions that they previously had it at today's price, and they might sell out. You understand the theory behind it.
Yeah, there's a swing trader maybe or something like that. You might want to be a bit careful, but in general, I always copy open trades on a small amount and average up if they're performing.
Would you ever close individual trades within a copy?
I have done before when I was adamant something was going to go up and they're shorting it and I think I know better. But now I've learned I'm clearly not always right and let them do their thing. And if I don't have the faith in them, I shouldn't be copying them, I guess. The only other thing is ethical, I suppose, but nothing's ever stood out me in that term. So no, basically, I have done, but I wouldn't have thought.
Okay, so let's talk about managing your portfolio. How often do you check your eToro account?
Too regular, but I do find it fun. As part of the various strategies, swing trading, day trading. I'm sort of in and out. Maybe too often. I'd like to maybe, certainly as time goes on, be in a position where it sort of runs itself a bit better. But I do take a lot of sort of what we class as a day trade, hedging strategies, etc. So I'm in and out. Always got my phone out a couple of times an hour, sort of checking on things, etc. I've got notifications that I need to sort of various levels, etc., and stop losses. I still check anyway, more out of curiosity than sort of worrying, I guess.
So you're on it multiple times a day?
Yeah. So I do quick checks, quick adjustments, only because I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy doing that, I wouldn't do that. I'd set it up differently. I like the trading style, the seeing what's going on, etc. It's just like my interest in the whole.
Yeah, if you weren't doing all your own stuff, if you were only copy trading, you wouldn't be on it remotely as frequently.
No, I still think knowing me, I'd be in probably once a day at least. Just out of the whole interest of it, I guess. I think I would like to eventually set up that second portfolio and just have copy only and just sort of let them do their thing.
Roughly speaking, how long do you stick with a PI?
Normally I wouldn't, or at least core holdings, I wouldn't ever leave them. If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it, as they say. It's if they're performing, there's no reason to leave them. Also, if they're not performing, but not performing for the right reason, say take a Wesley, for instance, not done anything wrong as such, market's gone against you, I don't see why you close that. If somebody starts taking too many risks or changing how they invest, trade, then I would pull them. But short answer, I set and forget, wouldn't want to sort of ever leave them, I guess.
We've already sort of answered this one, but the question is, do you allocate the same funds to each PI? Let's just clarify that.
No, I normally start off on a smaller level, keep a close eye on them, see how they work, which it's a bit harder to get sometimes when it starts. You need to get a feel of how they invest and sort of start averaging up, I guess, as time goes on, the more confidence you got in them.
Yeah, Jay's your number one guy, and he's 3.15%. And then you have a bunch, the next five maybe are over 2%.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it would be that way. The only reason I've stopped copying and restarted on a lot of others, obviously, I believe he's still sort of copy blocks, so I can't do that with him. That's the reason he's probably higher than some of the others. So it's a bit if I come out of him, I can't go back in, obviously, and his length of time, I'm sort of quite happy. I'd like to keep hold of him.
And then at the bottom end of the scale, your smallest copies are 0.21%.
Yeah, just started a few of those recently, keeping an eye on them. It's just the smallest amount I can almost, or close to, that I can sort of keep an eye on them and sort of get a feel for what they do. And could have added them to a watch list, which I do normally if the climate wasn't as it was, then maybe come back to them in 3-6 months, see how they're doing. But current climate, I'm sort of happy to take them on board at a small level and sort of keep an eye on them. Readjust, look in sort of month, 2-3 months time, see how they're doing, and maybe I'd start adding a bit more.
So who's your favorite PI?
With what eToro is for me, and more of a sort of trading philosophy than an investor as such, and someone who can move with the market. I like Bellkeeper. He's a good solid trader. Lots of history there.
I don't know Bellkeeper at all.
Do you know?
Mattia Bongiorno. Is that his real name?
Yeah. You asked me that question at different times, and I'll change the answer. But someone like him, you've got lots of history. Only one sort of failed year, should we say?
He does have lots of history. He's been around since 2016.
And only one sort of negative year. Moves with the markets, like currently short crypto has been, but that minus 10%, was it?
He has green November, December, January, and February. So I can't understand why he's losing copiers at the moment, considering 4%, 9%, 4%, 3%, all in the green the last 4 months. And he keeps his risk score pretty low.
Yeah, he's not scared to sort of go against the market, which I sort of quite like, as long as you don't do that too aggressively. He was trying to short cryptos a bit earlier in the August, I believe, on that minus 12, which is a high sort of losing month. But he cut those and retried it again, I think, in September, and that seemed to work.
But you don't get those in your copy, do you, if you're in the UK?
No, I don't. But he's currently short in the stock market on this downturn, long and short the market, which is the sort of I personally like. There's no right or wrong. A lot of people just like a safe, steady sort of investor. I like someone who sort of swings with the market. So yeah, he's certainly up there as sort of one of my favourite. History's good. Obviously, people like Jay Nevis have so many years. You're in sort of safer hands. I've seen so many people over the years look at one good year, 18 months, and suddenly completely blow up out of no reason at all. Just over leverage, overconfidence, stubbornness to change, etc. I think that's another reason I don't like to have too much in each PI, because someone could look good and sort of suddenly stop performing. Yeah, I guess it's all about that risk versus reward. Fund manager Zek, for instance, is willing to cut losses. Great risk to reward there. The amount he earns versus how much he's willing to sort of put on. I think those two stand out as the sort of people I would like to copy if I was just to copy a few, as opposed to sort of long only.
Okay, so what behaviors do you consider cardinal sins of PIs? What sort of things, if you saw your PI doing them, would you be wanting to get out?
I don't like averaging downs. If you've got a loser, especially in a leverage position, if you're a Forex trader, you're a USD, and that's going against you to hit it, keep hitting it and hitting it. They're the people I've seen sort of blow up or lose too much in a year. So if someone's, I like people who are quite happy to cut losses early. They're not prepared to do that, just keep riding it down. It's slightly different than invested. If you got shares in Google and you see that go 20%, by all means average down. But if you're a trader, swing trader or moving the markets, I don't like that too much. I don't like changing how they trade or invest, changing their style. Things like if I see things that warning signs, I probably will get out or certainly keep a close eye on them.
Yeah, it's funny. You see a lot of copiers on the platform responding to how their PI is doing these days in these difficult times. And often if the PI is doing nothing, the copiers are shouting and screaming at them, going, "What are you doing nothing for? Got to do something. You're such a noob. You're just panicking. You're frozen in a panic." And then if they are cutting losses and freeing up some cash to allocate it somewhere else, people are saying, "What the hell are you selling in the red for? You're such a noob. You're selling in the red. You don't know anything."
Yeah, they want miracles, all green months, don't they? And just sort of never a losing trade. Just a permanent cash machine. Unfortunately, it don't work like that.
In your early days, did you respond like that? Did it take you time to understand how things work?
Yeah, but I went through the typical learning curve that thinking I could do better and trading myself. Listen, certainly not so much then, but there were certainly some really good PIs on board. So now I don't see why you would try and sort of do it yourself. And the arrogance of people coming in, no trade experience, no opening up leverages. I say arrogance, I did it myself. It's more sort of naive, to use a better word, I suppose. Sort of trying to do it themselves when there's a real full-time professional traders out there and they think they can beat these people. It's a little naive, I guess, to think you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what's going on in the world today. As we record this, it's obviously Ukraine and Russia is the big news. We're a few days into the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And the markets were not in a great place before this. And obviously this adds to the whole uncertainty. As a copier, how do you think people should respond to that?
It all depends on where you are and what stage you are. If you're averaging in over the next 40 years and you don't intend to take money out as your pension, etc., then certainly no fear. Keep doing what you do. Keep averaging in. If you're at the later stage and you were, say, 65 and that's all your money, maybe you want to be a little bit more defensive and careful and maybe not holding all your money in stock long.
Well, you say that you're protecting your capital. That's kind of the phase that you're in. Are you tempted to make any big changes just to preserve that cash?
I feel like I sort of have my biggest position is silver, then gold, silver miners. I feel like I'm hedged or diversified enough that I shouldn't hit too much damage. And if it does continue to bleed the stock market, I'm in a position I can chuck more money, I guess, or save for cryptos. So I'm not overexposed. I wouldn't say now. I'm careful.
Not planning to hit stop copy on 52 PIs?
Let's get this. I want to get this move out of the way. Know exactly how much I need to release. So that should come any day. Release that, then I'll look at the whole thing again with fresh eyes.
Do you know many other people who copy trade or use eToro? Is it a big thing among your peers?
No, I only know a couple of people who are on there for sort of crypto reasons. Probably something to do with me, but no, I don't know anyone else who copy trades.
Okay, so in all your years of using eToro, you must have come up with a few ideas as to how to improve the platform, other than telling us that the spread fees on crypto are far too high and there's no staking or whatever it was you said earlier. What other changes would you like to see on eToro?
Yeah, more sort of metrics on volatility, I guess. You take a current snapshot of, you can see sort of how much they've earned in the last 12 months and how much they've risked in the last 12 months. I can't see that going back any further. So I can see a PI here, say they earned 30% in 21, and I can see their risk score to do that. What about 20, 19, 18? All you've got is how much they lost in a month, but you can have swing months where it's horrendously down 40% and it comes back to... So yeah, I'd like to sort of... obviously I heard you chat before about sort of risk metrics and risk scores, how that can be improved. Definitely more data at some point, yeah, some sort of volatility graph, some sort of previous years. That should be an easy one for them to implement. Previous years max drawdown, maybe even a monthly chart of that, you can sort of see. At least then you can see the consistency, etc.
Yeah, that is a problem because it's perceived wisdom is to only copy people who've got a long track record. So you're assessing someone based on their returns from several years. But if you can't see the risk score for those several years, then you're looking at them with one eye closed.
Mm-hmm.
But yet only 1 year of risk score and drawdown.
Yeah, it's not like you got 20 years of data. You got 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and as I said, that should be an easy one to change. I'm not sure why that isn't there. It's a useful metric, definitely. How much risk are they taking? How much of their drawdown are they taking to achieve their result? It's what you need to know, I guess.
Have you communicated directly with many PIs? Would you say you have a relationship with any of your PIs?
No, I'm quick to say, because I think they get so much sort of grief sometimes. I'm quick to say thank you, especially to the lesser known ones. It may not mean anything to J Nemesis for me to say thank you, but to someone with 10 copiers, I think is doing a good job. Just to reach out, you're doing a good job. Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, do you want to give a shout out to any of these lesser known PIs?
It's the lesser known ones like Paternicus, a German sort of full-time trader. I said thank you to in the past. He's just always in complete control. I only made 5% last year, but
yeah,
the year before, so 20.
I saw him before. He was on Editor's Choice a few months back, and he was on at the same time as Nezatron. You know Nezatron? She's a Slovenian young woman, relatively new.
Yeah.
Takes a good picture.
Yeah.
And she was on Editor's Choice, and she was scooping up new copiers at an incredible rate. I'd never seen that before. And I remember thinking it was quite a cruel juxtaposition for Paternicus, because his profile was featured right beside hers. And it's fair to say he's slightly less photogenic. And he wasn't scooping up copiers at quite the same rate.
You saying people are shallow? You know, we live in a fickle world. What are we saying here?
I'm not saying anything. I report, you decide.
Yeah, possibly. I think he's a good looking dude myself.
Very nice of you. Christian Steinberger is his name. Have you been copying him a long time?
This last time, not so recent, as I say, adjusting the levels, but 15 months ago maybe. Sort of, I definitely got a good feel of how he sort of operates. Not the greatest year last year, but risk was very low. Shame you couldn't see a bit more history there. 2020, 25% up. 2019, 15% up on a half year. Basically longs them good quality shares, but hedges it down. And unlike a lot of PIs who hedge with 5-10%, he could be net short quite often. So he's one of those who will make you probably more money in a down market than an up. You can go on the wild ride as Mr. G23. He always seems to pull it off, but it's a lot of risk there, I guess.
He is a wild ride, and a lot of his copiers on his feed simply can't take it.
No, I've been in and out a few times over the years. He's one I have stopped copying because I didn't like the way the risk was going, and as soon as I stop, he seems to turn it around and start achieving again.
Is he currently being copied?
He is not the max amount, but he's not someone you'd want to copy with 25%, I guess, of your portfolio, but as a small part, I'm prepared to do that.
Speaking of other PIs that only take up a small part, there's a bunch here that I've never heard of. Let me list a few of their usernames. Yoatri, Long Term Safe, Tight Stops, Vosh15,
Yeah, so like those Wash 15 or tight stops, again, not outstanding results. You're not going to get 40% a year out of someone like that. So he's only 5% drawdown in a year, but he's got a chance to make you 20. Like the way he trades, non-correlated to the market, which is exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. Same with tight stops, risk to reward in your favour. Better than parking it in cash, in my opinion. The way the market is now, I'm happy to hold a few more.
How about long-term safe? Alessia Barbagallo. She's Forex.
Yeah, Forex, I just want a bit of a mixed bag in the portfolio. I'm just where I am. I'm just not confident in any sort of market over the next 6 to 12 months. Still believe in crypto, still believe in etc. But it's just, I just want a holding portfolio. As I say, could sit in cash in the next 6 months, a year, but that's not something I really want to do. Can easily put sort of nice 10% sort of stoppy cop loss on those and you should be fine.
Stoppy cop loss?
Yeah, the old sloppy cop loss. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're definitely a safety in numbers kind of guy when it comes to your PIs.
It's just a snapshot of where we are, isn't it? It's a volatile market. I don't want to be too exposed to anything in particular. I don't think there's great opportunity or anything sort of over the next 6 months as such. Plus, it's, as I say, keep going on about needing withdraw money out. There's a chance that could plummet 30-40% over the next 3 months. I don't expect that, but it could happen, and I don't want to be in that position whilst needing to take money out.
You've got 52 PIs. Like, it might appear that it's a very low bar, but in truth, there are certain PIs that wouldn't get near your portfolio. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Anyone who's, I guess, risking too much to gain sort of too little. Communication, I've heard sort of yourself talk about it before, it's quite important. It's not so much for me. I sort of a numbers guy, stats guy, look at sort of drill down on that. I like to, if they're doing things out in particular, I like to know why they're doing it and stuff like that. But I'm the complete opposite of you. 4, is 4 too low or is 4 okay? Is that what you've got? 1 second, I'll find you some here.
I've got 4 PIs, yeah.
Who's on yours?
Well, we have 2 in common, Elite Vol and Wesley.
No plans on any changes? You happy before?
Well, I'm trying to change as little as possible. You know, I'd like a settled team. But I've sort of had a bit of difficulty with my 4th PI. 3 of those guys have been there from the start. Wesley, I just started copying at Christmas because he was in a dip. Didn't realize he'd be in a further dip.
It's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, but I still think I like the look of his portfolio in the long term. I think I might have picked up a whole load of good performers at a good price.
Yeah.
By copying him at the end of 2021.
It can take a long time to turn around, but when it does, it can do really well. And you just feel like you're in good hands with someone like that. And he's not exactly investing in anything crazy, is he? He's sort of, China's been beat down, etc.
Well, Samosa King is another real long-term. You have to have loads of patience for him. He's got a very concentrated portfolio himself. He's got like 5 stocks. And some of them aren't going to pull up any trees in the near term, I'm pretty sure.
So what is it about him?
Well, he's the guy that brought me to eToro. I met him online in YouTube comments, and we were discussing a particular stock we were both interested in buying. And then I started watching his videos, and then he mentioned eToro and that he was on eToro. And I liked the cut of his jib as a long-term investor. But the story of him on eToro is basically he was in on GameStop early on, had enormous success then. That was in my first few months. But ever since then, not much has happened.
This is why I questioned the 4. I mean, I'm too high. Are you too low? I don't know. What's the magic number? And how can you leave out certain people, some of these fund managers, especially after being on your show and Bellkeeper and Mario? But it's hard, isn't it? Like, I guess I'm just fear of missing out maybe for me with some of these people, and they have to be in.
Yeah, there's plenty of PIs I'd like to copy because I like them and I like their style and I think they're good. But I just try and impose strict limits on the number just because I don't want to lose track of what they're up to. You know, I want to keep up to date with them.
Yeah, I get it. If you've got a stock portfolio, as I say, and you've got 50 stocks, you really know everything inside and out of everything they're doing, or you've just got a bit of faith that Google's running okay.
Yeah, see, I'm the same with individual stocks. I can't have too many because I can't keep on top of the stories.
But then PIs are more riskier than a stock, I would say.
Well, all the more reason to keep on top of them then.
Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. It's just like, if you have a drawdown the next 4 or 5 years, nothing really happens, and they're all sort of long. I guess elite vol. I expected a bit more out of him. I thought, I don't know.
Yeah, he's changing his strategy. He was forced into changing his strategy a bit towards the end of the year because he thinks the VIX alone isn't doing it.
But you're happy to hold on?
I think so. I think that's the right approach for me. We're chalk and cheese in that regard.
It's completely everywhere. Somewhere in the middle, I'd say, would be a nice medium, but it's hard to make decisions. As I say, Yepe or Mario Parda, much long only, both quality investors. How do you choose? If you can't choose one, why not have both? Why not split that? I don't know.
Yeah, I just try not to be too trigger happy.
Yeah, I guess it's my trader brain as opposed to an invested brain.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's how we can agree to disagree.
Well, I'm not saying there's any right or wrong now. I'm not saying I'm in the right. I definitely think I'm in the wrong.
No, we can just agree to disagree. We don't know. You're more of a trader, maybe.
And one thing I sort of learned right from the off is there's no right or wrong way to trade and invest in. Everyone hit it completely different. You got to find what works for you, your own style, your own sort of still finding it. I guess for me, will it look the same in a year's, 2 years' time? No. Will yours look the same? Maybe. Probably sounds like you're more likely to be the same than me, but...
Well, we'll see. But obviously yours is working for you. You enjoy it. You got your house in the country. You've had lots of fun. You've had lots of fun over the years. So, you know, whatever works, long may it continue.
Yeah. As long as you're moving forward and learning and earning, then I guess that's all good.
Well, the more you learn, the more you earn. Isn't that right?
So they say.
All right, Alex. Well, look, thanks very much for giving us a little window into your many years of experience on eToro and how your story has developed.
Hope you enjoyed the wild ride and learn maybe more how not to do it than to do it. But if you got something out of it, then that's job done, I guess.
Job done. All right. All the best, Alex. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Nice to meet you again. Cheers, mate.
Our sincere thanks to Alex for sharing his eToro journey with us despite stressful disruptions from Siri and gerbils and intermittent microphone problems and Wi-Fi connection issues. To think of the trouble we go through to bring you this podcast, listener. That's all from me. See you on Discord and Facebook. Until next time we meet at Copytraders Club, I wish you many happy returns. Obviously, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. It's just generic chit chat. We don't know your individual circumstances, etc., and so forth.